Yo! How's it going? I got to use the large mic today because the my little lavalier is not working. I think it needs new batteries. And who's got those little disc batteries in the house? Nobody. So I'll have to wait and get that fixed. So back. I haven't been on in a little while. I'm hoping to step it up for this year. I got really busy at the end of the year, and I had no time to come on here and do any more videos. So, but things are quieting down. I have a little bit more time. Thought I'd come up. I actually did make a video during that time. Spent a long time on it to make sure I got it right. I did a cover of "You Really Got Me" by Van Halen, and what happened was that YouTube muted the audio after about 60 seconds. Now, apparently they were not thrilled with that upload, and what was the point of leaving it with the muted audio? And they sent me a copyright. Shame. I was like, all right, okay. Apparently, other people have uploaded Van Halen's "You Really Got Me" and did a cover of it, and they didn't get. Maybe they did get a copyright notice, but they didn't mute the audio because I can go on there and listen to it. But yeah, they muted the audio. That was the end of that, so I deleted it. I'll try and find a more karaoke backing track and see if that throws off the censor. Maybe I have to talk before and after it or something so it's not so because I just did the cover and that was it. And anyway, it was a bummer because I don't really do a lot of covers on here, and I'd spent some time doing it, and they basically thwarted all my efforts in about 60 seconds. So now I have this guitar, which I don't think many of you have seen. This is bought this in brand new in '89. It's a Japanese 50s Strat. It was the Jap version of the 57, right? And then they had the 60s version, which is the Japanese counterpart to the 62. So, the 57 versus the 62, the 57 has maple, the 62 has rosewood, the 57 has a V-neck, and this has a really hard V on it, kind of like the Clapton. If you've ever played the Clapton, that's got a pretty strong V. Versus the C-style neck on the back of the 60s. I should have bought a 60s because I really do like the 60s shape and feel. I think they're made in Mexico now, though, so I'd want a Japanese one. That's the one I was sort of into. Single laminate pickguard versus a triple laminate. The pickups are a little twangier, but these aren't the stock pickups. These are lace sensor Holy Grails, which aren't noise-less, but they're less noise, if that makes sense. And, of course, the two-tone Sunburst versus the three-tone Sunburst. That's probably the major hits right there for the differences between the two. I've had this worked on with the same guy who worked on the Ibanez. Does great work. He's made it so that the guitar stays in pretty good tune, even using the whammy bar. After I got it back from him, I was able to use a little ceramic lube. If you're not familiar with ceramic lube, for years guitar players have been using graphite. Because graphite works, takes pressure fairly well, but even graphite will wear out over time. Apparently, the ceramic lube is longer lasting. The ceramic, little nano plates of ceramic are suspended in a petroleum distillate, most likely white grease, and you put that in the nut. And a great thing about ceramic is it can take a lot of pressure without wearing out. So the pressure of the strings I even find on the saddle, it works good because when you bend a note, that tiny little bend rubs on the saddle and even pulls the string slightly, very microscopically, is pulling and relaxing the string, and that little scrape over the top, the ridge, of the saddle. Eventually, that's where eventually we'll break it. So most of the breakage on a guitar will happen at the saddle for that very reason. So I put just a tiny bit, I wet a little Q-tip and I just sort of, dress up the tops of it and get a little bit, in there, and then the same for the nut, just get a little bit in there. And usually when I change the strings, I'll get a little redress in there of some of the ceramic lube. So I didn't know much about it when I was looking to do it. To get a lubricant, I went to get Graphitol, right, is the company, and I wound up going with the ceramic product because I've heard better things about it. So ceramic lube. So right now I'm running into a Lynch Box head. I got new software. Guitar Rig 4 was not working for me anymore. And I looked around and I wound up going with TH2 by Overloud, which I highly recommend. I think it's a fantastic product. I've been really happy with it. I tried to use Amplitude, but Amplitude doesn't want to work with my hardware. I can only work with it in the host mode instead of standalone. Standalone won't recognize my hardware. When I'm in host mode, of course it works, but the latency goes so high that it becomes unusable. So I'm back to TH2 after checking out a bunch of products, and that's the one I went with, and I've been really happy with it. They have a tie-in with Randall and George Lynch. This is the Lynch Box head, and it uses about a dozen different models, and right now I have it set to Tweed. And I have the gain at about 3/4. I have the level all the way up. I have most of the, tone parameters at or around 12 o'clock. And that's about it. I'm running through a very minimal setup on this. A 412 emulated cab and a little room reverb. And that is it. There's 3 items in the whole chain. The head, the cab, the reverb. That's it. I didn't want to add compression, EQ, chorus, delay. I mean, you can really start to muddle it up. It has all that. And it's got some very complex patches in it. But for the purposes of just checking it out today and listening to the things, I wanted to be kind of pure. I tried it dry, but it was a little too dry, so I added the room reverb. But you do get a little bit of, slight bit of reverb just from the cab emulator, because it assumes that there's a little bit of bounce going on within the room. But this is the Tweed one, and you can hear it's definitely breaking up a little bit, So, I think it sounds pretty good. Let's step through a few of the other ones. This is the Topboost, which is an AC30. I kept the gain at the same level. I kept the output level at the same level, which is pretty much cranked up. I'm already hearing a lot more distortion. So it's good definition though. Another thing I like about it, and I think some people complained about this from my Ibanez demo way back when, was that when I was going through a lot of the patches on the guitar, we weren't hearing a lot of response out of the emulator, out of the software amp. I think that TH2 does a really good job of changing its sound when it gets a different signal from the pickups. So here it is on the back pickup, the back 2, the middle, the front 2, the front. I like it. I like it. I've been dying to come on here, but it's just been busy lately. The next head we're going to look at now, this is the same thing. I've got the distortion cranked up now. I've taken it from 3/4 to 100%. And everything else in the chain is the same, except I've changed the model to the SL Plus, which I'm pretty sure is for Super Lead Plus, which tells me it's a Marshall emulation, right? Super Lead, Marshall. So I'm hearing more mids right away. Disregard that last part. So I like it. I love this. I love all their heads. I think they're... I mean, I've yet to find a head in there where I'm like, oh God, that's really, really bad. I'm sure I'll find it, but so far I've been able to, with some tweaking, get every head... And I can't say that about Guitar Rig. You know, I've got every head in this model, in this whole, software emulation, sounding pretty decent. You know, obviously you got to tweak them a bit. But there are some heads on Guitar Rig I could tweak till the fucking cows came home, and that thing was sounding like shit every single time. But they had other amps emulators that were really good. Apparently, what really did it for me was the move from Guitar Rig 3 to Guitar Rig 4. When I first got Guitar Rig, I was like, it's okay, but it's the best thing out there right now. Then I got Guitar Rig 2, and I was like, you know what? This thing ain't bad. When I got Guitar Rig 3, I was like, this thing is pretty damn good. When I got Guitar Rig 4, I was like, what the fuck happened? Because Guitar Rig 3 was so awesome. Guitar Rig 4 just, I don't know, they weren't working it for me. So then when I got fed up with that and I started looking for these rigs, when I went get back to Guitar Rig, I wasn't feeling it. So, I'm TH2 all the way now, except for one thing, and if Overloud ever sees this video, now's the time to get a pen and paper and write this down. Put an MP3 or a wave player in it. I need some way to be able to play back a song and play along with it. I can do it right now if I open it up in Sonar, but then my latency, although not nearly as bad as Amplitude, at least the demo, and Guitar Rig, the latency is pretty high, higher, than this, and I like that. That's probably around 11 milliseconds. I know that because my card operates in two methods, 11 milliseconds or 22, and you can clearly hear the 22 when I'm in the host mode, maybe even more. And 11, it's much tighter. Than when it's in standalone mode versus host mode. Sounds like a volume. Hear that little volume swell? Right there. That's the gate. I will say that these models are less, they're not nearly as noisy as some of the models in the other ones. They get noisy, but I think Overloud does a little bit better job at noise control than some of the other emulators. Another thing that I sort of put in the, yes, I'm going with this versus no, I'm not, when I was making my comparison. And I think Overloud... See, I think it does a good job with pick dynamics and guitar dynamics. Now, you might be hearing a lot of noise on that. I'm not hearing it through the headphones. Here's why. That camera has a compressor built in so that when the audio goes low in a room, it ramps up the volume to pick up what's being said. I can't turn that off, unfortunately, even when I'm running the line in like I am right now. So, when you hear that, right, I'm hearing a very little bit of noise here. I'm sure it's overwhelming on the video because the compressor is going to boost that, you know, way up. So don't blame Overloud. All right, let's check out a few more amp heads. This is the Ultra, which is, I believe, a modded, an overdriven modded super lead or something. It's a Marshall, right? The Ultra. I'm hearing more bass right away. Yeah, got some good beat. I mean, for a Strat, that's a single coil pickup. You know. Once again, the tones are about the same. I do have the gain at the maximum. Again, we can sort of step through the pickups here. This is the back pickup, the you know, the bridge. I think it's very responsive to the change in pickup. That, even with all that distortion and all that sort of grinding going on there, I was still hearing a noticeable difference between the pickup selectors. So that's, you know, I think that's a good thing. All right, well, another head here. This is the XTC. It's obviously a clone of the Bogner Ecstasy head. So I'm hearing more treble and more like in that upper mid. I like it. Because if you don't like that tone, you just switch to another head and you get, you know, something that you might like. I think they all have their place in certain tunes and in certain genres. And sloppy. To try that again. All right, last amp head, and then we got to call it a day because this video is running like 20 minutes now. This is the Mr. Scary, which is the official George Lynch, you know, Mr. Scary head. Has nice little flames on the front. And again, the distortion is cranked up. All the tones are between 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock. And the level is cranked. I'm hearing more mid-range, especially in like the low mids. More like a Marshall, like a Plexi. Nice biting though. Anyway. I pulled it out of tune a little bit here, so maybe it's time to end. That's it for now, guys. I'll come back on here and we'll demo a bunch of the other heads. I have a few other guitars that nobody's seen yet and they probably wouldn't mind checking out. So, until next time, rock on!